This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Wednesday, June 14th, 2023, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will speak with National Pork Producers Council Vice President Duane Stateler. We'll talk about freedom of operation for producers, and I will also have a check of the ag weather outlook. But first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined now by Tyler Schau of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. Tyler, what took place in the grain markets today?
It was kind of a bit of a back and forth day. Grains started off in the overnight down, came into this morning. Got a lot of those losses back, actually traded positive for the midday. And then as it came into the close, there was some weakness, especially in your old crop front month contracts in both July corn, July beans, July wheat saw some selling late. And corn ended up down 4 in July and down a penny in new crop. Beans ended up down 9 in July and down up a penny in new crop. So a lot of back and forth trades, still trading weather and weather forecasts, trying to figure out what this crop's going to look like here in another week or two.
And Tyler, I wanted to ask you a question relating back to yesterday as well, because we saw a huge jump at midday for soybeans pretty much across the board. I believe front month soybeans had jumped up almost 40 cents. When you kind of go back and look at what happened there yesterday, what were your main takeaways for those big gains in soybeans?
Yeah, mid-morning, early morning July beans, well, the whole bean complex was positive. Midday, it really took a big jump, and that kind of coincides with about the time S&P Global came out with some of their revised survey results. And one of them that I think probably caught the soybean market off guard is their most recent June survey has planted soybean acres about 500,000 acres lower than the USDA's planting intentions report, and that's the number that's being used on the WASDE right now. So if that were to come into realization, that's quite a few bean acres being taken off the balance sheet. Cross that with some dryness issues going on, you could see over time that total production come down for soybeans.
And then, Tyler, big picture outside of the ag marketplace, we are also keeping an eye on the Federal Reserve Bank and what it was going to do potentially as far as interest payments are concerned. What did we see with that announcement today?
Federal Reserve did nothing. Rates are unchanged for the time being, and so now I guess we start looking for the next FOMC meeting and trying to guess what they're going to do in another 2 months.
And then, Tyler, going back to the other side of the ag marketplace, what took place in the livestock markets today?
It was kind of a brutal day in feeder cattle. Front month feeders, August feeders down $4.55 at $235.90. All of your back months were down in that $4 range. There really isn't any news to say this is why feeders are down. I would argue that one of the things we've been saying for quite a while is as the southern plains and areas that were abnormally dry received rains and felt better about their ability to run yearling calves and cows on pasture, really thought that would be a catalyst to shoot this thing higher. We saw some of that in early May, and I think that's why you saw a $20 rally in feeders from May 9th to June 9th. So really in 1 month we saw a huge move in the feeder calf complex. And typical of most markets, we tend to overdo things. So maybe shot a little too high, got a little overzealous of where this market might go. But you also had people with feed available, so they were trying to get their hands on cattle any way they could, and maybe just pump that price up a little too much too quick. And now you've got some nervous longs in there that have either made a lot of money on the way up and want to protect it, or got in here recently and are worried about a lot of air underneath this thing. Fat cattle also had kind of a tough day. Really no news there. Cash really hasn't broke yet, and the box beef trade is still staying strong. Hogs had a positive day again. You got June going off today, but the July hogs up $2. Boy, we've reversed that market in a hurry.
And then, Tyler, I'm sorry I'm jumping a little bit all over the place here, but also wanted to wrap up with, we don't always talk about wheat too often here on this show because the state of Iowa, as we know, not a big wheat producer, but that winter wheat crop, man, it's just in a tough spot right now.
Yeah, it's been dry. They've been getting rain here, recently. That's helping. Now the question is that going to start hindering harvest in the days to come? The other big question is how, what's the abandonment rate going to be, and what are the total number of acres that are going to get harvested? Some are arguing that that's going to be fairly high. We'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. The one thing I can tell you before anyone gets too bullish in the wheat market is we're still the highest priced wheat in the world. And when that's the case, it's just tough to spur a lot of additional demand.
Well, Tyler, thank you so much for the analysis as always. How can our viewers get in touch and maybe personalize their marketing plan a little bit more?
Check us out on the internet, agmarket.net. And if you want to call the direct line, it's 701-987-6009.
Tyler Schau of agmarket.net with our closing analysis today. Tyler, thank you for the time and have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
And that was Tyler Schau of agmarket.net with our closing analysis today. Let's turn our attention now to the closing numbers, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart.
July corn is down 4 3/4 at 607 3/4. New crop December corn down 2 even at 549 1/4. July soybeans down 11 even at 1388 1/4. New crop November soybeans up a half cent at 1240 even. August soybean meal down $6.10 at 384.80. August soybean oil up 35 cents at 54.92. Chicago wheat down 6 3/4 at 641 1/4. Minneapolis wheat down 1 3/4 at 807 3/4. Kansas hard red wheat down 8 even at 782 1/4. September oats up 12 1/2 at 391 even. On the Merc, August live cattle down $2.95 at 170.97. August feeder cattle down $4.55 at 235.90. July lean hogs up $2.17 at 92.77. July pork cutout up $2.65 at 95.90, and Class 3 milk down a cent at 15.08.
And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. It's time now to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, I will be joined by National Pork Producers Council Vice President Duane Stateler. This is AMPM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today, I speak with National Pork Producers Council Vice President Duane Stateler. We talk about freedom to operate for producers here in the United States and some of those lessons that we've learned from recent rulings from the Supreme Court.
Mark Magnuson with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined now by Duane Stateler. He is MPPC Vice President, and we are at World Pork Expo 2023. And Duane, today we're talking about some environmental issues. Let's start off with WOTUS. We got that decision from the Supreme Court fairly recently. What was your initial impression when the decision came down that we're now going back to more of the original definition of the Clean Water Act?
Very excited, very relieved. I mean, it's been years that we've been underneath this pressure that what you would think was common sense, navigable waters is something that you could, at some point in time take a boat down, that we went from navigable waters to where, a pond in an area, a low area, miles away from any navigable water was all of a sudden classified as, permittable. And that just didn't seem right.
And Duane, was that a pretty widespread reaction throughout the pork industry when the decision came down?
I think not only through the pork industry, but through all of agriculture was a big sigh of relief, on what was finally put to bed, here on this rule. But it doesn't. I don't think it will ever be put to bed all the time, because I think there's people already working on what can we do to try to get there again, but it's going to be hard to do that because you have got a very solid notion from the Supreme Court, that this is what needs to be.
And Duane, we know that WOTUS, that back and forth for years, has had a lot of effect on, like you said, basically across the entire agriculture industry. How was it most affecting the swine industry? What was the pork industry's biggest issues when it came to WOTUS, and kind of how the government was, I guess, dictating on how things should be done on individual operations?
Well, we apply our manure on our ground, to grow crops. And that has changed over the years. We are more precise now. We even do variable rate with our manure, just like we do our fertilizer. So that has, that's how precise that we've got to applying our manure. And it's the perfect as far as sustainability. We take our manure, we grow our crop, we feed our crop to our pigs, and then we get that protein, out to people so where they can enjoy it, on their grills here as we come into the summer season here, and everybody's cooking outside. So to think that you had to worry about setbacks around where water had maybe stood for 2 days, because you got a hard rain, and now all of a sudden we have to consider that as a permittable area, that it just creates a hole in the middle of the field that, you might not see that water standing in that field for another 1.5 to 2 years till you get a big rain. So it just brought common sense back to where everybody can follow and understand, and we can get life back to normal.
And Duane, I think it's a pretty widespread opinion that farmers do not want to be dictated on exactly how they need to do everything on their farm when it comes to making these sustainable practices and putting them into action. And farmers, we know, want to be good to the environment. They want to continue to farm. So was that also part of it, that farmers just felt like it was just a little bit too much of an overreach from that perspective of not having that total freedom to operate?
Yes, I think it's that freedom to operate, but it's awful hard for us because we're looking at less than 1% of us now that are farming. There's a lot of people that are 3, 4, 5 generations plus removed from the farm. They don't understand the farm today, but those of us that have grown up on the farm, that farm today, we were taught by our grandfathers and our fathers that they tell us that we were taught by our father and our grandfather, we've got to protect this ground. So we're the original, conservationists of the ground because they're not making any more farm ground. We've got to preserve that. And for me, being a 5th generation and having the 6th and 7th working on the farm, that's our goal, is to preserve that ground to the best we can to be able to pass it on and make it generational.
And when you think about the work that hog producers do, they've been doing sustainable work in their fields, or I should say on their operations, for many, many years. I mean, you can go back probably several generations to find some practices that are similar to today still in the pork industry. Do you think the average person is able to grasp that concept that farmers have been stewards of the land and have been taking care of their environment for that long of a time?
No, I don't. There's a lot of people that are so far removed from the farm that they really don't. A lot of people, their image of the farm is the old McDonald farm or something like that in a book that they've seen, at the library, that where it was the farm that I grew up in. We had hogs, we had chickens, we had beef cows, we had dairy, and I can still remember I was only 6 years old, but I was already knowledgeable enough that I was glad to see the dairy cows go, because that was not only 24/7, 365, but that was at a specific time that you milked cows every day. They don't understand what is done in today's agriculture, or what was done even at that time, as far as setbacks from cricks, to make sure that we didn't get anything that went into the crick, because we drink out of our well water, and and that's what we've drank, that's what our children drank, that's what our grandkids drink. We have to do everything to do what we can to protect that natural resource. So it's just they don't understand what we do to try to protect, and it's because when you get separated from anything, you don't have knowledge about what's actually going on. And I don't know how we do a better job of getting that broadcast out to people, other than relying for people like you, that someone's going to hear this on the radio and all of a sudden, oh gosh, they actually are doing something.
I think a lot of people would be surprised at the steps farmers take and the lengths that they go to, like you said, have that sustainable operation and continue to farm for many, many years. And then overall, when we're just talking about environmental practices, things that are right for the farm, right for the land, what do you think is most important for farmers going forward when we know that there probably is going to be another one of these issues that pops up down the line where there is some pushback from another side that's trying to dictate some of these practices on the farm?
I've tried to tell some of my neighbors and stuff that, we have the opportunity. We all know a lot of people, because there's only 1% of us, anymore. We all know a lot of people that aren't, related to the farm. We all have a buddy seat in the combine and the tractor. Invite your neighbor and someone out, because if you can tell one person, let them see how we operate and have a chance for them to ride along with you for 15, 20, 25 minutes, and you get the conversation. That person, when they're talking to someone else, they have the ability to say, no, that's not quite right, because I had the opportunity to ride, with a neighbor of mine, in the farm, and boy, it's just not what's out there. I think that's maybe our best way that we can do that.
He is Duane Stateler. He is the Vice President with the NPPC. Duane, is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers know about when it comes to the environmental steps that producers are taking to make sure that they are taking care of the environment that they're operating on?
I would just ask, if you've got questions, find a local farmer. Drive out in the countryside. If you see one working in the field, stop, because I can guarantee you he will probably stop, and will be more than willing to have a conversation with you. And you could ask your questions directly, and that's the best way to get an understanding of what someone does. If you've got a question about it, just go to them directly and find out. And normally you'll find out that there's always two sides of the story, and we definitely have the other side of the story to tell when it comes to the environment.
Here with Duane Stateler at World Pork Expo 2023. Duane, thank you so much for the time, and have a great rest of the expo.
Thank you. You too.
That was National Pork Producers Council Vice President Duane Stateler. Let's turn our attention now to the ag weather outlook. Well, not a lot of fireworks in the forecast here today, as we do have a nice day in the state of Iowa, but for the most part, it is mostly sunny and warm outside. Tonight, partly cloudy skies around the state of Iowa, comfortable temperatures, and then tomorrow, a similar story, mostly sunny, as we will have a little bit of a warm up as those temperatures will continue to climb. So let's turn our attention now to the National Weather Service and what's in store for the next 24 hours.
As you can see from the National Weather Service, mostly sunny skies today with high temperatures expected 86 to 90. Tonight, pretty quiet evening, partly cloudy skies with low temperatures expected 59 to 63. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, warmer temperatures, as we will have highs range from 90 to 92. And now taking a look at our affiliate weather map for tomorrow. Cherokee, mostly sunny and 90 degrees. Shenandoah, mostly sunny with a high around 90. Des Moines, mostly sunny and 91. Albia, mostly sunny with a high around 90. Waterloo, mostly sunny and hazy on Thursday with a high around 92. Clinton, mostly sunny with a high around 91.
For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, make sure and check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. That also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can find all of our video content and previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe. Also, click on the notification icon. That will let you know whenever we have any new video content. And don't forget our free twice daily market podcast, which are found wherever you find your favorite podcast at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.